Interesting. Let's see if this time it goes. There he is. Hello and good evening, everybody. Either it's morning, evening, or night for you.
Welcome
to
everybody.
Roundtable Chronicles.
That's why I just said greetings, Earthlings.
Is this a whisper show? Are we whispering?
Well, it's very simple.
No, we'll be yelling before it's over with.
It's 3 a.m. and I'm in my parents' house, so they are sleeping on the other side.
So you've stolen my technique is what it is. You're using the radio DJ voice now. I like it. I like it. Well, I'm in Auburn. I'm on the road too. That's why I've got my hat here, sporting the War Eagle. Everybody. Plus, I'm packing up a bunch of stuff to move. But so I'll keep my quiet voice about me too. I'm here on the floor with you guys, cross-legged, huddled around, ready to learn. How's everybody doing this week? Oh, well, no, I'll save mine. Let's get to Rick and Vince. How are you guys this week?
Vince, go first.
Hey, I'm doing all right. Thank you. This week I had a lot of progress on the Cahokia Mounds question about the permit and also made some more progress on the Mount Pishka relics and the study.
Yeah, he's not giving himself near enough credit,
No,
but
he never does.
he
Him
never
and
does.
Ricardo both. We got to get them some of our self-aggrandizement on their side.
Yeah, we'll just be proud for them, I guess. But let's see, what have I accomplished this week? Well, I got my oil changed today without, you know, starving. Um, Gasoline went down here
Same.
uh, by that much.
Yeah.
But that's probably most of that's due to our governor who suspended all Indiana state gasoline taxes for another 30 days. Or
Got it.
another 22 days now. But and I'm getting ready to go on a road trip. So gonna go see Jim.
Nice, nice. Going to be doing some promotion for the series.
Well, no, actually, it's not so much a series related
Got it.
adventure this time, but it's a lot of people that have been involved in the series, and now they're actually celebrating something they've been working at for a very long time. So we're
Brilliant.
going to go help them. And then I'm taking Jim on a different adventure, I think. I think we're going to take Jim on a long adventure. Well, not real long, but a few days.
You taking a camera?
A few, I think. I'm
Excellent.
taking a few. I don't know if we're doing any professional grade cameras or not. There
Excellent.
will be some video documentation of some quality or another. So
It's
yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
yeah,
Other than
Awesome.
driving roughly 2,100 miles in the next 14 days.
wow. So
That's
is
the
Jim
mileage, dude.
Pardon?
going to be with you on the RV?
On at least part of it, but I don't know if he's going to be in for the whole thing. I would
Okay,
hope that he could, but I'm not sure that he can.
okay. We have to be careful that he doesn't forget
Excellent news.
to take his
Yeah,
Excellent
I'm
news.
pills for the
not going to take
number
him
of
on any
days.
long mountain climbing trips or, uh, well, maybe no dance clubs. I'm not sure.
If there just happens to be a strip club near the Indian Mound, it is not Rick's fault.
And I haven't seen that combination. Well, actually, come to think of it, I have.
You haven't been to Oklahoma, no.
Yeah, actually, I have been to Oklahoma and Indiana too. One,
Lawton, Oklahoma. They've definitely, man, boy, Oklahoma's a great place. What am I saying? I had a great time there, even though some of my best friends worked in strip clubs. You know, gotta love Oklahoma.
I've only been there a couple of times and never truly deep into Oklahoma, mostly just the extreme northeast corner. But I like it there
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons, but backyard industries included.
Well,
Anyway,
thank you, everybody. Ricardo, your week? You want me to say? I'll do my week. My week has been great, guys. Obviously, I'm busy in real life shit. Things are moving along. Yeah. Oh, I know the update I've got. Bottle Creek. Everybody's been wondering when I was going to get Bottle Creek. We had issues with my nephew. He had health issues. I won't bore them with you, but he is over them now, and we're looking at finally getting out there on the 23rd, which is next Tuesday. Again, another camera-filled adventure that we're all, out here trying to document for you guys. So I'm going to get to Bottle Creek next Tuesday. I'm going to go fight some localized corruption this week, getting rid of. We've got some. Man, we have such such illegal stuff going on in our county, and we've got some people we're working with that, on a national level are helping fight all the crimes in child court, such as ones I encountered personally. So that's finally coming home a little bit this week. So I've got my hands full, man. But yeah, that's my week. Sorry, somebody messaged me. I forgot to turn off Do Not Disturb. Let me do that. Ricardo, how's your week? Did you get the yard work done?
Uh, well, let me put it this way. If I had lots of money, I would order to have a catapult sending the John Deere straight into the warehouse of the people that sold it to my father,
Got it.
because I hate things that doesn't work, right?
Hmm.
And the guys been here, they took $400, sorry, 400 euros, that is a little bit more than $400,
Mm-hmm.
to fix whatever is wrong with the propellers. And I put it to cut the lawn, and I'm constantly having to stop because it coggles on the channel that sends the the grass into the basket. It
Mm-hmm.
just
Clogs it up.
coggles. It just coggles up, and it isn't because moisture, because it's dry as it can be at this point under 40 degrees Celsius.
You cutting it too low, man? You trying to take off too much at
No,
one
man.
time?
It's the problem is the grass at certain points is really high, almost knee high, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the plate of the blades doesn't raise enough for it to do it gradually, right? It's either like this or this. It doesn't
Right.
do anything else. So I
Weed eat
tried,
first, man. You ain't got a weed eater?
yeah, I
The thing with
tried
the
the
string on the
weeder.
end? Bzzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have two petrol ones. None of them wanted to start. One of them is brand new. It didn't start. So I grabbed the electrical one.
Did you put it on choke, man? Are you sure?
Do
Yes,
you
I'm
know
sure.
any shepherds?
So I started with the electrical one, and then I noticed this is having too much of a strain to cut this. And when I finally managed to convince my father, we have to stop, this doesn't work. And he said, yes, it does. When I pull it out off the plug, it had melted. The two metal prongs were melted into the plug. That's how it was. So it just melted in there. And Vencier
This
knew this.
honestly, Ricardo, this is how I envisioned your yard work day went. Moss, who's in our chat, has been asking me, like, how did Ricardo's yard work go? And I said, it's probably just like this, like a damn movie where not a thing would go right for him.
Yeah.
Did you get a suntan at least? You look good.
Well, I do have a burnout on my back, yes.
Okay.
So, apart from that, I'm trying to finish the project at hand, and I intend to in the next 2 days. But I need to get
Good.
others people's work for me to be able to finish my part in time, which I don't know if I can, but something will be arranged. So it's somewhat related to Rick's mission. So let's see how it goes. I'll do my best. I'm ready to not sleep the next 2 nights in order to finish it. But
Well, then it's my turn.
yes. So before we bore people to death with, with lawn matters.
Sorry. They were asking, though. So they were curious. Inquiring minds want to know, did Ricardo manage the weed eater proper?
Well, yeah, Jacqueline just put it there that he couldn't cut the grass, but he managed to cut his hair. So yes, I
I
did.
saw that.
Good one.
So I know Rick sent us a few posts that I don't know if the ones that he wants to share. Uh,
Mostly I was giving you information, but they are interesting things.
okay.
Uh, a couple of them are about topics we discuss often. Uh, Michigan copper being at the top of that list. But I don't know. it's your choice. I don't think I can pull them up and play them and be on it online. I don't think I have enough line.
Okay, okay. And Vince, do you have anything you want to show us today?
Yes, I have a few prepared for talking about it. Should I go ahead and share my screen?
Show. Go
Okay.
ahead and show us.
All right. First, I want to show this. This is using AI to extract the design motifs from the Mount Pishka relics. So I asked, I sent, I took a close-up shot photograph of each of the Mount Pishka relics that have surface designs and size patterns on them, and then entered these all into ChatGPT and said, okay, organize these, catalog them, put them on a white and black background, and and then show me what they look like on a single page. So this is what the result was. The first was it has these nice branching patterns that looked almost like pine needles, feathering patterns or uh, branching lines. So
Is this some kind of version of the cross hatching?
no, this is nested chevrons. I think it's a symbol that's it's important. It represents, I think, pine needles. But there are cross hatching. We'll come to that next. Then there were groups like this, but bunches of lines that were bound, almost like bound together
Oh, so they are
in
using
groups.
barcodes already at that time?
Look at that.
Yeah, and then the cross hatching was very prevalent. So there's a lot of the cross hatching all over the figurines. As you know, they are covered on all sides with these patterns. So the cross hatching was very prevalent, and then there were some like this that had grid patterns with dots,
It's
and
like a calendar.
yeah, almost like a calendar or a map.
I'm guessing it is their version of texting, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then they have some of these fan-like motifs on the figurines that really show up um, in in several different varieties on the figurines. And they
That's
have
Vince, do you
astronomical.
Vince, do you think you can lower the page with the mouse wheel instead the keyboards so we don't hear the tung tung
oh,
tung tung
okay.
tung tung?
All right, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So then we have these triangle figures or motifs, and then there's some ladder looking motifs that show up. Ladders are very prevalent, and I know that some of the ladders were used um, in Astalon. They had this ladder motif on like the shaking tent symbol from Astalon.
Have you counted the numbers in the letter to see if they might represent years or months or something like that?
Well, it could be. It could well be a calendar, and uh, then this. It's possible that it's a map or calendar. Then this starts to show what it looks like. They're laid when one lays on top of another. They just get
So,
really complex. And,
question: Have you are these grids all the same count? I counted 4x8 grids, but
oh,
I
they
did
varied. Yeah, the
Okay,
grids were very different. Like you see some of them
six
have
by
more.
6x9,
Yeah,
7x8.
and they tend to have these dots irregularly shaped or sized in different grid in each of the different grid numbers at different positions. Some of them don't have dots, some do. But the cross hatching they have diagonal, there's triangles and squares, and a lot of this cross hatching represented. And so this is what we're looking at here is ancient symbols that were engraved on the surfaces of all the Mount Pishka relics, and they have a prevalent pattern. These are stylistic motifs that are present on a lot of the different figurines in varying shapes and sizes and the cross hatching really was prevalent on a lot of the figurines. And I mean, the grids and the ladder motifs, this shows all the different symbols they had compiled together. So it's a significant amount of encoded knowledge. I mean, it's like symbols with meaning. All of these are engraved symbols, and they have great age to them. I mean, these things are have been used for over 70,000 years. Some show up in Blombus Cave, South Africa, and they dated that to 70,000 years ago.
Yeah,
And
you have even before that, because you have a very primitive of this way of a representation of this system on Nadeli's cave, which is considerably older. So,
yeah, so it could be even older. Like, but this type of motif was used around the world. And the next one I want to show is a slideshow, a presentation that talks about where they were used.
the thing is, how big are these things? Because some of them are quite microscopic, right?
They're small, yeah, they're very small. I mean,
Mm.
but they engraved the patterns on all surfaces of these relics. So this is the article about the motifs and what they how they're divided up. So there's geometric motifs. The key forms were Greek key called meanders. There's swastika or solar crosses, zigzags, spirals, cross, blessed sign, and others. So each motif was described visually and placed in a global context here. We'll see where they come from and when they're dated to. So the Greek geometric pattern dates to around 720 BC. It was used in places like Prague Kinsky Palace, showing the meander. There's meanders of rectilinear shapes and from Greeks from the 8th to 6th century BC. Roman, Byzantine, and Chinese Shang dynasty and even Mayan art used this as a labyrinth form. And then there's examples here about the timing. And so this is 750 BC all the way up to 1500. So the Greeks used this on their pottery. Then the Roman used it on friezes and mosaics. The Chinese used it in 200 BC. The Han imperial motifs were used right around the birth of Christ. The Mayan pre-classic labyrinth patterns used it. 500 AD, the Byzantine church architecture used it. 1500 AD, the Renaissance had the Greek key using this in Europe. And so these are some examples. They had this in Greek, Byzantine, and Far Eastern periods, classic Mayans. Um, they had the swastika motif on these Mount Pishka relics from North Carolina. You know that's an ancient symbol. Cross with arms bent. The swastika was used in prehistoric Europe, Indus Valley. The native Navajo used it. India, Byzantine. They date back to 7000 BC.
And do you have a initial point for it to be used?
7,000. I mean, 7,000 BC looks like it's originated from.
Sorry, I
So
said
the,
period. I meant
oh,
place, location. Is it India, as so many
all
people say, or
all of these places used it. Europe, Indus Valley, Greece, Africa, Byzantine. All these places used the swastika.
yeah, but in different periods. I mean, it at its oldest was it
No,
already
no, it was
distributed?
coincident. It was concurrent. They all used it. And it's a very simple reason why they used it. It represents a cycle of the year. If you look at the Big Dipper
Yeah,
at four
I
times
know
in
Yeah,
a
what you're
year,
saying. Yeah, yeah,
that's right.
in each of the
yeah, but you
seasons, it will form basically that swastika.
yeah, exactly. But he was saying 7000 BC. The Greeks are after that, right? So
Well, yeah, but that view hasn't changed much in 15,000 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been constantly used continuously and by many cultures. The Navajo, Buddhist, Hindus. Then there was the zigzag, stepped fret or triangle-like pattern. They said this is called a repeated angular or wavy line, often resembling waves or mountain profiles. Examples include the Greek key variant and the XI pattern from Mexico. So these were very common in the Southeast and East Asia, Mesoamerica, Andean, African, all through the time period from uh, the Neolithic and 4000 BC. They represent very like water, wind, or earth cycles. Okay, and then there's some variants here from Chinese, Mesoamericans, and then there's a single or double swirl pattern. The visual pattern is curving lines with a single spiral or double spiral or triple spiral. These have occurred in Europe, Mediterranean, Native American, and African rock art from 4000 BC onward. And again, these are from Mount Pishka as well, North Carolina. So then there's the spiral motif is started around 3000 BC and it goes all the way up to 500 AD with Neolithic, age, Aegean, Bronze Age, Minoans, Celtic, Bronze Age, and then Maori tribes and the Adena Hopewell. The cross motif, the cruciform, was found in abundance, and it is from Celtic, Slavic, pre-Columbian Andes, or the Islamic art. This is a Navajo star weave as well, and so the comparison table here shows the different ages and the time periods of where the symbols were used. The Greek key from 1000 BC onward, swastika from 7000 BC, zigzags from 4000 BC, spirals from 3000 BC, crosses and cruciforms from Neolithic, and then the other forms are varied. So it's really amazing the symbols and the age of these. It just covers the world, and these are similar to many places in the world.
Yeah, and there's a point, I think, that when they say 7000 BC, they're identified by the oldest biological samples they could test for dating, because most of these are in rock art that cannot be dated. So it might be much older than that, and they just keep using the site over and over again and adding to it. So
Yeah, that's a good point. And this is an article. I mean, just ChatGPT can do some amazing things. It wrote this story about the figurines and picked out these particular examples because they show the different patterns, the cross hatching, the dotted, netted patterns, and all different kinds of symbols that show up on these figurines.
well, it didn't capture them. You gave him the pictures because that is you with the gloves actually handling the pieces. That's your
Really?
photos.
Yeah, that's my photos. But what I did was I uploaded the entire drive
Rick?
onto ChatGPT.
Yeah, that could be my hands, actually.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
it's
Rick.
true. It could
Was
be
it?
your hands. It depends who was taking the pictures and who was holding the pieces.
And so they had banner stones, and this is the bear, the great bear from the
That's my
Smithsonian.
favorite, by the way.
Yeah, this one it's incredible because it's so key. I mean, it matches the Valentine artifacts, and this is the one that they took to the Smithsonian, and they said this looks too new. It couldn't possibly have been made anciently, so it must have been like modern. Someone must have made this, and see, it's signed by Cyrus Thomas with a sticker, and I mean, this thing is covered with soot, and
Hmm.
obviously it's been in a fire. And it just matches the cross
It
hatching,
still
and
smells like wood smoke.
yeah, it had a strong scent of smoke. And then this bird, this is the one that Cyrus Thomas called a bogus bird.
Bogus.
Bogus bird, yeah. And I mean, it's like the it didn't make sense. Like he published this in 1894 in a volume of all the different mounds, and this is the only one of all the different sites he called a bogus bird. It's like, why would someone make a bird if it's bogus, or why would they call it bogus? So that was one of the first things that kind of raised a flag for me, is trying to
I,
figure out why. Why would
I
they call
thought
this bogus?
I thought the bogus was to say that it was forgery or recent
Right. Right.
artifact.
Yeah, but bogus has multiple meanings, and he could have meant it's a forgery, but it could also be an imitation, like a clan. Like it wasn't meant to be a bird, but actually a clan symbol of that bird. Because a bogus could mean imitation, which is basically a symbol meaning something else. So the bird means it's a clan symbol for a bird, not just an actual bird. And and then the alligator is a famous one at the Smithsonian,
Yeah.
signed by Emmer in white paint. And I mean, this one is incredible. It has this like lettering that it looks like Cherokee script, and translates to Neb Nehi, which is the immortals. These letters that kind of form the I spell out the immortals, or translate to the one who does not die.
There was this
It could
bastard
also be
crocodile they
interpreted
couldn't
as the
kill.
one who cannot be killed.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's right. And then this was one that we looked at. It's it's like a single. It's a stone. I mean, it's made out of stone, and it's hollowed out. I mean, it's like a hollowed out vessel.
You sure it's stone? It's not pottery?
I mean, it felt like stone just touching it, and we didn't test it geologically, but
I'm pretty sure it's steatite or something a lot like it.
yeah,
Hmm. Is
Uh,
is it
And
is
and on the inside, it is not formed like you would do pottery because it's not as smooth as it would be if it were pottery. So it is a back cut, a blind back cut inside stone.
right.
and,
That's what makes it really special.
and does it look? This is how the stone looks like, or does it has this appearance of being slightly vitrified or exposed to high heat?
Oh, it was definitely exposed to high
Yeah,
heat.
that it also smells like wood smoke. All
Yeah.
those relics except for one smelled like wood smoke, and that one smelled like coal smoke, and I think it probably is a forgery.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was a few. There was that one that I think it was a pipe or something that could have been modern, and then but the others all had this vitrified or black substance on the surfaces. They had been in a fire apparently, and they smelled so much like smoke. And some of them had pipe, like they actually were people smoking pipes.
That does that one have the
Was that
same
a pipe
lines?
that was a
Line
dude
that
smoking a pipe?
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a dude smoking a pipe.
That's awesome.
Is,
Yeah,
is
very nice.
this is this the decoration of this similar to the bear lines?
Yeah, similar to the bear lines, right? It's almost like they're wearing a clothing that's got like sewn lines on it. Because the
Yeah,
necks had this dotted embroidery, like it was porcupine quill embroidery or something.
but he
These
has
all,
very long arms. Was their arms supposed to hold something?
yeah, it's like he's reaching out to hold something.
It could be where you hold the pipe by, right?
Well, I mean, this is the pipe in his mouth right here, but he's
Right. But
Yeah,
the
Well,
but
bowl, is the bowl on top? I can't.
yeah, I
My
mean,
screen's so small.
well,
Oh,
this
I can
up
blow
here
it up. There we go.
is a different bowl.
Yeah, I see now, Vince. I can zoom in. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
oh, that water thing is not part of the stone. I was being
Right.
mislead. Okay.
Sorry, this is a different pipe back here, but he's got a pipe in his mouth and he's reaching out.
Are you
And like,
sure you
yeah.
were in the museum? So many pipes around you guys.
And then this is one of my favorites. It's like the dark eyes, this rounded face, and I think this is like the Holy Grail cup. You know, like there's a story of the Grail cup. Well, she's got this cup right on her side, and it's like the symbol of the Grail.
Is she actually posing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's got one hand up and one
Yeah,
hand
I mean,
down.
so I
And
would say it looks like a man dressed as a woman while posing.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah, it's interesting. Some people said it looks
I'm a little
Mexican.
teapot, short and stout.
does he have a mustache or a beard?
It looks like it, a mustache, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Interesting.
And then this one is a great one. I think that, well, on one side of this, it has a tree image and like a hog climbing up the tree. And it almost looks like a myrrh tree. Well, then this other the side shown here shows the deer, like a elk or deer, just fully reaching up to try to get.
Or a kudu eating acacia.
Oh, okay. There you
I
go.
would go for that. It looks like a
Wow.
kudu eating acacia. So
Wow.
that's
Deer don't
exactly,
have stripes, so
yeah, well, that is true.
kudu.
Well, I'm gonna write that down because that's interesting.
Do you have acacia any near in this part of the states?
No, not that I
Not,
know of.
it's not the same plant. There are a couple of similar plants though.
Okay. And do deer put themselves in this position to eat the top branches?
Well,
Because
I've
I've
seen.
They'll eat,
never seen it.
yeah, deer will eat tree leaves or even bark if they're really hungry. But
But would they put themselves in the back legs?
yes,
Yeah, I've
Okay.
seen them reach out to get a persimmon, like from a persimmon tree.
Okay.
yes, or apples. They love
Yeah.
taking apples off the trees. Peaches.
And this one is the supposed rhinoceros. It first, it looks like it has this horn on the center of its face that broke off. This used to be extending out, like out of the. There's earlier photos of it where it extended out from the center of its face, like a rhino horn would project out. But it snapped off at some point due to mishandling at the museum, and unfortunately, it's no longer attached.
Yeah, but it again, rhinos don't have those lines on the body.
Oh right, I don't think the lines I think is really interesting because it could be.
You might want to back up on that statement just a little bit, Ricardo. They do have lines on their hides, just not exactly that shape.
Sure, sure. I understood what you mean, what you meant. Yes. And are those ears on the
Uh,
side? Because
yeah,
rhinos don't have ears.
looks a lot more like a dog to me, but it had a horn, so I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, but its tail is also curled upwards and like on the top of its back. I looked up, well, what kind of animal does that? And they said the white rhino would do that if it was feeling threatened.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And hippopotamus too because that's a mechanism, that's a weapon they have back there that they use
Yeah.
at description that they can use it whenever they want.
So when I went to the Valentine Museum back in 2009 or 8, well, they had all these pipes on display. There was very elaborate pipes that were labeled ceremonial Cherokee pipes, and so they had collected these, and some of them were just elaborate, thin pottery material, just very different varieties of pipes. And then they had these arrowheads like on display too. These were abundant on the site. I guess they almost look like just Mississippian or projectile points from true bow and arrows. So yeah, that that was the symbolism that really showed up this week on the examples from the motifs on the site. And then I wanted to talk about Monks Mound. The I got the results from the FOIA request permit, or the permit requests via the state FOIA.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is the update on that.
So tell us.
Well, when I sent them the request back in, well, my dad sent them a request that year that it occurred. What they said was, just a second, there. Okay. So, did the response answer the questions? No. Okay, they basically said it includes the Monks Mound review materials, the project manual, correspondence. It did not include every requested category. So basically, they did not give me a an answer. Mostly, it said they didn't do any testing. They they said though in 2010 they did an approval or completed their investigations and accepted the work. And so the state issued this acceptance letter saying the final report was reviewed and found acceptable. And so this was like, wow, okay, why did they accept this?
Hmm. You know what?
And
That reminds me, Rick. We are sending letters to. We started with the small museums and then the big museums to asking copper artifacts to test, right? With White Tuttle and the lady from Lehigh University, the doctor. And you know what's going on? They are all replying saying, "Oh, we don't actually have any bronze pieces." So this one that I'm not going to say the name, but where there's a lot of tin in the south of Britain, which is a big museum. You know what they said? We only have a knife. That's the only artifact of between the period that you asked for, that is the Copper Bronze Age. The only artifact we have is a knife. Right? So either the copper artifacts are disappearing from museums, or I don't know what's going on here. So I think
Well,
you're
I
having.
do have a couple of suggestions for other places.
Sorry, Rick, it didn't come through.
I said I got suggestions for other places. Discuss that offline.
I know it's terrible for your patients, but you have to say it again because it's meddling with your sound.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
That part I could.
Okay. Um, I said I think we should be looking on a different island, basically. Uh, we can talk about that one offline, about
Okay.
where to send some more letters.
so what I have here is the overall response, the core finding. Okay, the formal agency posture. There was no formal SHPO objection found in the Monks Mound file. The formal record included a no adverse effect concurrence, later final report acceptance, and later clearance language. The field record objections, though, were recorded. The file contained multiple objections, alarms, and criticism from archaeologists and one internal IHPA official, concentrated mostly from August 7th to August 10th, 2007, after the Traco photos circulated. The strongest evidence is not a formal agency objection, it is a documented contradiction between the no adverse effect posture and a field record showing alarm in multiple archaeologists over the Traco excavation, the potential intact mound deposits, missing or unclear screening, or borrow source review, and a lack of transparent consultation. So this is what the letters say. On August 7th, Pocketot sent an alarm letter. Wilson forwarded photos. August 8th, T.R. Kidder, the archaeologist, expressed urgency. Brad Koldehoff, the archaeologist, expressed shock. Emerson had broad objection. These are state archaeologists in Illinois. Then on August 9th, Hacker recommended internal controls. McElrath had oversight proposal for the board at Gokia. Then Pocketot endorsed that. So Tim Pocketot's the other archaeologist. On August 10th, Len Stelly warned of international embarrassment about this. Then my dad, Larry Barrows, requested a FOIA permit for the archaeology permit. There wasn't one. On September 14th, the post-project as-built in summary monitoring request started. Then on October 18th, Emerson asked for a proposal and a 707 decision documentation. 707 means no adverse effect. So basically they just tried to cover it by saying there was no adverse effect here, just ignore all these objections. The later formal posture was accepted in 2010. In 2009, they had a final report acceptance in January 26, 2010, the clearance letter. So even though this apparently had a major adverse effect, they issued a no adverse effect ruling or judgment closing the case and said, there was no problem here, no adverse effect. These are the actual letters and when they were dated and the objections that were voiced for each one. The Department of Anthropology professor Tim Pocketot objected, alarmed that the excavation was happening at Monks Mound with the Traco, and there appeared to be no screening, no careful stockpiling, and they were not supposed to be cutting into intact mound fill. He said he was upset and going down to inspect. On August 7th, Gregory Wilson, the adjunct professor from McCollin College, forwarded the Monks Mound photos chain to Pocketot with alarm. This was not a technical objection, but an objection-like expression in the circulation chain. T.R. Kidder, the Washington University St. Louis archaeologist, reported urgent Monks Mound excavation, about 10 meters wide and 15 meters top to bottom, with the salvage work occurring in front of the backhoes. And he also stated that the state had not been generous with money for archaeology. This reads as a serious concern rather than a direct formal objection. Then on August 8, 2007, Brad Koldehoff, the coordinator from the American Bottom Division of ITARP, said they sent photos to Ann Hacker, David Halpin, and Joe Felipe, objected that it was shocking to see a Traco cutting into the intact sections of the mountain. He also stated that ITARP was supposed to help clear a borrow pit, but they had not been contacted. And then Thomas Emerson, the director of ITARP, the adjunct professor of anthropology, raised a strong concern and broad objection. IDOT had been contacted to survey the borrow after earlier contact. The photos made it hard to conclude that severe damage had not been done. Made it hard not to conclude that severe damage had been done. So that he was unaware that the consultation with the archaeology community. He criticized the process for not being transparent. Then Mark Wagner on August 8, 2007, SIU email and archaeological circulation chain forwarded the issue to others and described IHPA as doing extensive backhoe work to control slumping. He noted Pocketot had contacted IHPA to express unhappiness. Wagner's own message is more of a coordination concern than a standalone objection. And then Ann Hacker, the deputy SHPO IHPA Preservation Services, internally objected and alarmed after seeing the photos. She said she was shocked and had no idea. she required immediate controls, no parking or storing vehicles on the mound, production of the immediate production of the mitigation and recordation plan, verification that the fill was clean, review and approval for the plan for leveling the top before implementation. Then Dale McGallra, the statewide survey coordinator, called it an unfortunate development and proposed the IHPA negotiate with IAS to create procedures for any future earth moving at Cahokia. He said the archaeologists within the Mississippian mound expertise should review, advise, and consent to future subsurface excavation, and warned of the insular decision making and described the archaeologists as shaken by the image of a giant trackhoe cutting into the in situ deposits of Monks Mound. Then Tim Pocketot fully endorsed Dale McGallra's proposed IS oversight procedure and said that the present Monks Mound trackhoeing still required a short-term solution. Len Stell, then the Illinois Archaeological Survey, said he endorsed McGallra's proposal, sharply criticized the week's activities and protocols, and then my dad requested a FOIA permit, and IHPA coordinator said they made additional post-project requests to CDB, as-built documents, an end summary report, and possible monitoring of the repaired mound areas. The letter states the scope and extent of the repair had never been ventured onto a historic mound. This is an official corrective monitoring request rather than an objection.
So what I'm seeing is most of this are reactions after it's been done, because they didn't ask opinion for anybody before they actually put a backhoe on the mound. Right?
Yeah, they didn't know. I mean, no one knew they were going to do this.
And they still push it through from beginning to end, right?
Yeah, they still pushed it through as a no adverse effect. The 707 decision, Tom Emerson, basically he's the leader of ITARP, that's Illinois Transportation and Archaeological Research Program. He set a S707 decision declaring no adverse effect here. And even though all these formal objections and alarms had been voiced and written about, then basically they decided, hey, there's no adverse effect here, so they closed the record.
You can go to the Great Pyramid in Egypt and take 40% of one of the sides of the pyramid, and there's no adverse effect.
Yeah.
It's just such a ignorant and an utter lie from the person that is supposed to protect it the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have they found the permit to show you already?
I mean, they had no permit, officially no archaeology permit. They issued a no adverse effect permit saying you can't adversely affect the mound. And then they did this. And it was obviously adversely affected, but they decided it wasn't.
We can take a backhoe to the house of that guy and take a portion of it. And
Yeah.
there's no adverse effect. You still have a house on the other side.
Right.
It doesn't fall.
Yeah, it's horrific. I mean, it was like.
But is that person still in office?
No, I mean, they're not. They actually shut the site down after this. Completely shut it down. And these are the 166 pages of this FOIA reply. So they actually gave me every page in here. The interesting thing is they included a folder with like 5 other FOIA reply requests. So I have somehow they just dropped everything into a Dropbox folder with the other FOIA requests, and this was in there. So their final decision, Ian Hoppin, no adverse effect, says email project documents, repair all enlarged, or please call it any questions. So that was their decision, that no adverse effect on this project after the end of the project.
You should put this next to that image that you have with the backhoe almost at the middle of the pyramid as the excavation.
Yeah.
No adverse effect. Because it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are these people? What are their intentions? And to nothing. They did that. I don't see any purpose in that. Because you don't stabilize a mound by taking half of it out.
Right. They
There
just
were a
dug.
lot of issues with that, tons of issues.
Yeah, they just tore it apart with a backhoe and then declared that there were no adverse effects.
Because
And I mean, it shows
there
that,
was there was lots of grass on the mound. And if
yeah,
there is lots of grass, then there is little concern that it's going to have a slide because the grass is holding up to something. So the soil is not loose.
yeah. I mean, they dug into the
Look at
mound
that.
and
The Jesus, Jesus. It's even worse than I remembered. It's just appalling.
yeah, and they actually literally they recovered all these layers of colored earth. They they said the traco hit the limestone slab, and I mean this was called a charnel house. Basically, it's a place where they had a burial of a person. I mean, in the mound there, and the black substance was the ashes from their funeral. You know, basically they were burned, or they would burn the remains, and the ashes were shown there right next to the limestone slab. So it was a burial site. I mean, it was not only archaeological, but this was a funerary site.
Yeah,
So
and it's a pyramid whose base is the same size as the Great Pyramid, if I remember.
bigger, it's
Slightly
even bigger.
larger.
It's larger. Okay.
Yeah, larger. And there were dog burials in the mound too. I mean, not only people were buried there, but dogs. I mean, it's a it's not just a pile of dirt. It's a archaeological site. But they didn't get an archaeological permit. They had a no adverse effect permit.
No adverse effect permit. Well, in fact, they don't
But they
have it.
did not issue any citations for the people driving four-wheelers over that mountain.
Well, the interesting thing about that is they say they arrested these people. Like the people that were in 2005, um, they arrested some people for trespassing on the mound with ATV. 2006, more arrests were made. 2007, then I wrote this letter. I'm like, hey, these people really need to stop riding on the mounds. Then in 2008, they hit this DNR conservation police officer. The ATV riders hit this guy, and they filed a lawsuit, and they had to pay out $137,000 to the officer who got hit. It was Officer Winchard, struck by an ATV. He was hit by these two ATV drivers and injured. So these two, Eric Robinson and Megan Wiesman, hit this guy as he was trying to stop them from going onto the mound.
So
And I mean,
people were using these vehicles to climb the mountain if it is just like a.
yeah, like it's a fun park or something for them to ride over Monks Mound and Rattlesnake Mound. They trails all over the site, and they actually would go poaching too, because there were deer legs all over the site. They would just like cut the deer up and throw the parts of the deer around. They would poach these deer and go around with ATVs, and so they were poaching and illegally riding all over the mounds. And I mean, it was horrific. Like they were not allowed to legally. It's supposed to be a state park, protected site, and they were using it for a poaching ground and an ATV race course. And then the fact that they took backhoes to this mountain and said it was no adverse effect. I mean, it just shows that they were obviously misinformed. They dug into this charnel house in the
You might
mountain.
be a little too kind on that one.
Yeah, that's I think that's too kind. I don't know. I can't tell them how how awful what they did was. That you can't even put it into words how bad what they did was, because this was the biggest mound in the country. I mean, this is
There
the
you can see the
world's
colors
largest.
real well.
What?
Is that's an AI generated picture of the stripe in the mound.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but this is based on the actual photos, which I could show those too if you want to see that. And I mean, it's pretty much the same. They said they were going to step it back, and then they dug out over 30,000 cubic feet from the mound and dumped it in piles.
Yeah, they did no archaeology. If they happened to see something, they picked it up, but they did no real archaeology.
They picked it up. But there was no archaeologist on while that was being done, right?
Right.
Correct.
It's just
Nobody
the
was
workers.
on
There
site.
were no archaeologists consulted about it either. I'm pretty sure of that.
Right. There's nobody even
Beforehand.
on site. And I mean, the FOIA permit says they were supposed to be doing this as no adverse effect, and the maintenance. This was supposed to be site maintenance, like the maintenance crew. But they didn't even have an archaeologist on site.
So no one to direct how to dig, how to protect, and still carry the job that they have to do. Nothing. They just went into the mound.
Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible.
It's,
It
it's
shows.
just it's just complicated to understand unless they have a purpose to spend money putting people there to do this kind of job, because it doesn't seem to be the reason doesn't seem to be the one they presented it. So what was the purpose? Why going into that side of the mound and dig in with the backhoe, right?
Yeah.
They
What was
were
the
Well, I
purpose?
think, yeah, there was something on purpose, but I don't know what to attribute it to. I could make a couple guesses because of a couple of books that came out in the previous year, but they're just guesses.
Like, what are your guesses?
Well, one of them is one of the books that came out. Let's go with that. Claimed that was a tomb of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
oh
So
So they wanted to see what they could
I,
find.
they wanted to see what they could find, and they found some limestone they didn't really expect. But that was after they drilled down. They never did explain adequately why they drilled down from the top either, not in my opinion. But
Yeah.
that was
because of the way
excuse
that mound is
then.
constructed, the clays involved in the way it's layered, that entire structure was meant to hold water.
Yeah. That's right.
So they were trying to put drains in it in the same period of time as those books were coming up.
I find it interesting that someone would think that Jesus Christ was buried in a place called Monks Mound, but
So the name came much later. And actually, the core of that mound could be much older than the clays that we saw dug out there. And it was buried long after the fact. Because they judged the age of that mound at what? Built around 1000 AD. And, but they haven't seen the very inside of it. So they have no idea.
Well, I wanted to show this also. This is the latest Mount Pishka report I put together. So far, it's 99 pages long. And so I reduced this from the 1,690 pages to 99 pages and compiled it into a more streamlined format. But with all the thanks, I just wanted to show the thanks to all the people that have been really involved in the study from the beginning. Dr. Corey Wilmot and Alan Corbiere, they're currently working on this, and They're this is Southern Illinois University Doctors of Archaeology, and Alan Corbiere is from Ontario, and he's the one that's really knowledgeable about clan structures of the Anishinaabe. He's done several presentations about that. Then Jeffrey Wilson, he's an archaeologist from Ohio that's associated with Serpent Mound, and he recommended looking into the Siep Pricer Mound with the artifacts there as a comparison with the Mount Pishka relics because they were made the same way. They have this figurine of a animal eating a human head, and it shows up at Mount Pishka too. And he said that's a strong authentication there because at Siep Pricer they found the same thing: the dog eating a human head, or a bear eating a human head, just like at the one at Mount Pishka. And then of course Lee Pennington, Jim Shirts. Hopefully we can get some feedback when you go visit Jim Shirts this coming week or coming up, and I'd like to get tribal input or tribal member to review this and tell us what they think.
See what I can do.
That'd
There will
amazing.
be a few of them there.
Yeah, Rick is your man for that.
And that would be great. And I have a packet they could fill out with their observations or questionnaire about that. I think I had sent you on Facebook Messenger, but if they have a chance to review that, that would be great just to get their feedback. And then of course, I'm thankful for Ricardo for helping out with the article and really getting this going with the research. Chris Feinfrock did the video work, and then
I
of
think
course
it's very important. What you've done with this is amazing.
It is.
But
Thank
then
you.
you never fail to amaze me.
Thank you.
I don't know
Very
what I
appreciate it.
did in relation to this, to my name being there, because I don't remember doing nothing. But
Well, you did you did a lot. I mean, you wrote that article. You helped me out with the article at first and getting the I guess X articles going, and really helped out with encouraging me and putting this together. So I really appreciate that. And I mean, this is just my thanks. And Dr. Elizabeth Weiss did the study about the skull from Wells Mound.
yeah,
Lanier Davis, he was the one that did the Not So Cherokee piece. And then Dr. Heather Latham, she's from University of North Carolina. She's the one that I had sent information to requesting the camel to be reviewed. And also I sent her a request to do a research about the artifacts at UNC. But she didn't really help me. She just said, we reviewed this with the NAGPRO team, and they say they don't allow any research about it. So she denied research to the site. And Christina Vita, Ashbury Cole, these are the people from Valentine Museum. And they first permitted the thermoluminescence testing and then denied the results, or basically said they're not going to give us the results.
the
Dr.
material was insensitive.
Yeah, it's insensitive. So all those tests that they did 8 tests, and 2 of them came out less than 100 years old, and the other 6 were insensitive. So there's no way it could be less than 100 years old because this is more than 146 years ago when they found it. And
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was from 100 to 1,000, if I'm correct.
yeah, that
remember.
right. Then they went back and they said the state, Virginia State preservation officer said, well, it could be 1,000. It's the same as 100, and they said it looks at 1,000-year ranges. And so then I asked them, well, so do you mean that this could be 1,000 years old? And they said, they didn't really respond to that. Basically, they just and then Dr. Logan Kistler, he's the one from the Smithsonian, who said initially they were going to do the Raman spectroscopy testing, and then he decided not to after he checked on it. So I think they actually ended up doing a test at the Smithsonian, and they probably determined some information, like that they were actually heated steatite called
Yeah,
N steatite.
too old for them to acknowledge.
Yeah, too old for them to acknowledge. So they said, "Oh, well, we can't tell you."
We have to find
Yeah,
a
and a specific gravity test probably wouldn't be precise enough to tell the difference between fired clay and steatite.
Right.
It'd be too close together, probably.
And then Theda Purdue was a archaeologist or historian. She wrote a bunch of books about the Cherokee and the slave trade, basically how they lived together with slaves from around 1600 to 1800. And so I asked her, "Do you think this site could have something to do with that?" She said, "I'm not an archaeologist. Ask Brett Riggs." So I sent a message to Brett Riggs, and he said, "You should read Coe." So basically, they wouldn't answer the question, but they referred me to read Coe. And
This
then
reminds me so much of a scene in one of the Indiana Jones movies. He just rode in on the sliding in to the library on a motorcycle behind
yeah.
Mutt, and a kid asked him a question about class. Said his reply was, "If you want to be a good archaeologist, you got to get out of the library."
Yes. Go out there and see what you can find.
And then Gerald Wiesner is a scholar that really wrote a lot of articles about the Anishinaabe and the Ojibwe, and I asked him if these artifacts could be related to the Ojibwe. He said they had a very long, the bears had very long paws reaching out, and they had a long snout, like a long nose, and he said he's not sure if they're Ojibwe, but come to find out that's a Ho Chunk symbol. The long paws and the long nose is more related to the Ho Chunk, which was the first people. So the symbol that they used for the bear with long paws and long nose was a Ho Chunk symbol. And
But isn't the whole chunk that says that when the stone has a long nose, it's a wolf. When it is it's a small nose, it's a bear.
well, it could be. I know they have the long nosed bear. Or no, the short faced bear. That's what I was thinking. Think of the short faced bear was an
It's bear,
Ice
yeah.
Age bear. Longer nose though, it's very prevalent on a lot of these figurines, and yeah, I mean it could be like a representation of the mouth moving forward, like it's coming after you.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times they would draw movement like as an extended length of an object. And then Dr. Susan Coleman. Well, this is the doctor that's working with Corey Wilmot and Dr. Alan Corbier. Susan Coleman is going to review this article in particular and provide feedback as well. So Corey recommended speaking with Dr. Coleman and ask her in particular about the NAGPRA side of things, to have some feedback on what I should do to get this published and what pictures I could include safely, to publish in the document and not and be in compliance with NAGPRA. And then Robert Madden, and Dr. Stephen Davis. These were from the University of North Carolina. The Stephen Davis and Robert Madden got a lot of the photos from the Dorchak and Hardaway sites, and I asked them about this site. I'm like, "Hey, have you ever seen any figurines from Mount Pishka area?" They said, "No, we've never heard of that. You should look at the Dorchak and Hardaway site." So this was way back in 2009, and then it turns out that there were, and they knew about this because they did the NAGPRA permit. Stephen Davis Jr. was the one who wrote the NAGPRA permit and the NAGPRA reconciliation of the UNC artifacts. And then Robert Pullen, the Southeast Muskogee Nation, he thanked me and he said this is extremely interesting work. And he said he talked to the chief of the Muskogee, Michelle Gilmore, and said she thanked me as well for this. And So these are like the chief. This is literally the chief of the southeastern Muskogee that's thanked me and said it's extremely interesting. It was very enthusiastic about it. Robert Pullen is the like the medicine man or the head like pharmaceutical side or the medicine side of the Muskogee Nation, and Michelle Gilmore is the official head chief of the Muskogee. So they've both reviewed and thanked me for this. Then Danielle Weekly, the Turtle Mountain. This is the Chippewa Turtle Mountain Heritage Center. Thanked me as well for it. So the Gwale are connected as well because of Lanier Davis. He's associated, I think, with the Gwale tribe. But yeah, it's amazing all the different people that have been involved in and contributed. And
So everybody is interested, best less the people that actually have power over the pieces.
yeah, that's right. Like the Valentine Museum and the Smithsonian and the UNC won't allow any study to be done on these.
Yeah, but I don't think they're the ones to decide, especially if NACPRA comes up into it. So
Yeah. Well, the other thing I learned through this is that these devices were called rainmaker devices. The rainmaking Chief Bushyhead back in 1880 wrote a letter and said that the devices were associated with the medicine men of the Cherokee, and that they had been used for rainmaking. And
Well, I would contend that they used them for a lot more than that. But the Cherokee magical system was very involved and multi-dimensional. So, yeah, it was a lot more intricate than that.
Yeah, and this is one of the things one of the facets of Cherokee culture, and you're right. I mean, it's a lot more involved than just one thing, but this was attributed to the medicine men, and comes to find out, the medicine men in 1880 that they were using this in Western North Carolina. It had been found in multiple places though. There were figurines that were attributed to this culture, and this talks about the rainmaking and maker candidate interpretation. There's apparently a lot of historical references to this, and like Lewis Morgan.
Yes, that all those historical references were produced by white men trying to make sense of what they were seeing amongst the natives. And
right.
The natives were doing a lot more than natives.
Right. Mooney
and not to cut you off, but
sorry.
Yeah, it's a matter of interpretation, I think.
Right. Mooney described it as a cultural coherence that rainmaking talisman, which conjures saw images of storm and a crop formation. The Judicala site is nearby here, and they described it as weather-powered landscape that sits 24 miles from the site. So the Judicala glyphs are associated or attributed to the same type of rainmaking symbolism. And at the same time that this rainmaking medicine man symbolism was found, it had been outlawed by the U.S. government. So they outlawed medicine practices, and so the U.S. government instituted a law in 1883 that outlawed it. It was called the Code of Indian Offenses. The courts of Indian offenses suppress dances, medicine practices, and other related ceremonial conduct. It's a proven policy level and directly relevant context. The object to class at issue is, by period attribution, medicine practice material of exactly the category federal policy targeted. While there was no direct court of interior order to the Smithsonian, this happened 10 days after this law was passed. Emmert basically targeted or attacked these objects, and it was right after this law passed. And the Smithsonian episode unfolded inside this assimilation era climate hostile to medicine practices, which bears on how institutional skepticism hardened into received dismissal without converting the policy context into proof about any object. So they went after it. I mean, they attacked these objects, the bears, these figurines we use for medicine making practices, in the 10 days after this law was passed.
Yeah, it was a coordinated effort, I'm confident. And it continued for the next 20 odd years.
Yeah, that's right. And they kept no records financially about what they were doing.
No, the Bureau of Indian Affairs was the most corrupt part of the government for its entire existence, including today, by the way.
Yeah, that is to be expected, since it's not a. If you read the wording, it looks like a good thing, but then it's how it's used, and so it's a little bit like NACPRA. I suspect there is a lot of corruption at this point with NACPRA, so spreading here and there so that
So
they can move
I
what
don't know
they
if
want.
we've ever talked about it, but one of the very early agents of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, like 1860s, 70s, was a guy by the name of John Wesley Powell.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right. There was a lot of this basic, it was a doctrine of manifest
Coordinated
destiny.
effort. Yeah.
Yeah. The doctrine of manifest destiny was what their effort was based on. And I have pulled up an article here about that as well.
So I sent you a link a few minutes ago of Henry Rowe Schoolcraft's list of Ojibwa totems. So
Oh, thanks.
when you get a minute.
Okay, just a second. Okay, so this is the Smithsonian expansionism and the bracketing out of indigenous knowledge. So this report argues the Smithsonian Institute did not simply mirror 19th century U.S. expansionism from a distance. It became one of the federal era knowledge infrastructures through which expansionist power was organized, legitimized, and archived. The institutional intersection with manifest destiny is strongest in four places. First, the Smithsonian became a depository for collections that were basically from federal surveys. And then, second, the 1879 Bureau of Ethnology, later the Bureau of American Ethnology, organized anthropological research at a national scale and routed the objects into the Smithsonian. Third, the late 19th century anthropology often sorted materials by shape, morphology, style, or antiquity, classification that basically attached objects to specific nations. And they used a vanished or superior race mode. Fourth, they had skeletal and funerary collections as well that they amassed under a military medical order. So the evidence showed an important complication. The practice was not static. They could circulate anti-indigenous framings in the mid-century mound builder debate, but later researchers such as Cyrus Thomas played a central role in rejecting the separate race theory and attributed mound building to indigenous people. So they wouldn't allow any separate race to be in the country. No Chinese, no Africans, no separate races other than what they declared to be natives.
Well, but you among your observations on this long research you have done, these were highly multicultural and multi-spiritual places, right? Where you can find a
Yeah,
fusion of many tribes and perhaps even many cultures from afar.
right. I
And
mean,
Mount Pishka, yeah.
Yeah.
there's evidence of multicultural connections, yeah, at Mount Pishka and a lot of other sites as well. But this is kind of the timeline. 1879, the Bureau of Ethnology established at the Smithsonian. And then 1881, the National Museum building opens. 1882, the Mound Survey begins. 1883, the Smithsonian testing at Etowah by Cyrus Thomas and John Rogan. And then 1894, he published his book. Well, so this down here we show some examples, case studies of collection and interpretation. So the Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi, published in 1848, and the acquisition path was through Squire and Davis, but the scientific record of monuments was still communicating the idea that people were a distinct form that were superior to the contemporary Native Americans. Later archaeology and the Smithsonian records treat the earthwork as a book read as a milestone document from settler assumptions. And then Linville Mound, this was treated as the contents and archaeological specimens. Descendants were not centered in the description. More recent interpretation affiliated the Western Mound tradition that were related to the Eastern Siouan people. So they would reclassify any evidence of a foreign culture as being a scientific problem. Like this one, Etowah Mound. Modern interpretation identifies Etowah as a Mississippian center, but later Muskogee histories show that the Cherokee had a community that regarded it as sacred. And then they had this giant collection of human remains. I'm not sure if you heard, but they collected skeletons and skulls, and then the NMAI repatriated these and asked for a return, a request for these human remains, which is still ongoing.
So I never heard that combination of letters before. It's not NECPRA, is it? What?
NMAI, National Museum of the American Indian.
Okay. So they repatriate the bones and then they have to test them to know who they
Yeah,
belong to?
right, because they didn't test them at all. They were just collected.
Some of them didn't have any pedigree whatsoever. They were just bones, assumed to be Native Americans.
Assumed, okay.
Right.
Now, in Arkansas, well, other places too, but in Arkansas for decades, they had a large piece of plexiglass over an actual skeleton at the open state park. One was in Ohio, a couple were in Ohio as well, but they didn't last as long. So you could actually look at the bones on display where they were buried.
But inside the facility or out in
No, it was outside. They just put plexiglass over basically an open grave.
Oh. Well, to Christians that's not unusual because you have that in Europe. They do that with
Yes.
certain burials that people go in to how did I say pilgrimage to. So
Yes.
Yeah, the saints, I guess, when they find like Catholic saints that way, or
yeah, in a place called Carmel, they went a little step further because it's not just the top. They made the whole coffin out of glass and put the skeleton in
Yeah.
as it was inside the coffin. But in this case, it's because these people that are there, their hair is still growing after 800 years. The nails are still growing, and there is very little decomposition of the bodies. So they consider them to be somewhat sacred or
Yeah, but
something.
Vladimir Lenin's nose fell off after 100 years. So
Well, they're still there and growing.
yeah, they glued it back on.
It's enormous. They have enormous nails and enormous hair.
Yeah,
I wanted to follow up about the one you brought last week with the CODIS,
Oh, yeah.
and that transcription or translation. I entered this into ChatGPT and it kind of helped to translate some of the sections into English. And so it's really interesting that it turns out that it's able to be transcribed, and they identified that this was the first reception of Cortez, basically the visit of Don Fernando Cortez in 1519. These sections on the map translate to when he first were lodged or housed there at Tessacoac. They talk about San Esteban in the first Holy Gospel in 1519, the visit of the Chihuahua, I don't know how to say that, Chihuahuas, of Don Fernando Cortez, and San Buenaventura, where the Brigantes were made to conquer Mexico. And so it has a translation of the sections in blue could be translated. Everything else was too difficult for it to tell what it said. But these sections were colorable in G, so show the original visible text and then the English translation. So it said this is the first reception of the Lords of Tlaxcala made, which took place at Tezcatlipoca, and the Lord, contextually the house of the Lord where he lodged, San Esteban. The first Holy Gospel was proclaimed in the year 1519. The visit of the Chihuahuas said that they made to Don Fernando Cortez, and this is where the Spaniards worked to make the Brigantes to conquer Mexico. So Cortez arrived there and was housed there, and this was the map documenting it.
But so, considering that they were saying that the map was supposed to be a presentation that the land was already divided and belonged to someone, that it's not the Spanish, someone has been there before Cortez. Were they told that Cortez is going to be there and meet with them, or I'm just trying to understand.
Well,
Cortez allied with various tribes or populations to make war on the Aztecs, because the populations had already been making war on the Aztecs, or already had been at war with the Aztecs and lost and hated them. And that's why Cortez was expected in what became Mexico City. He didn't go directly to Mexico City. He
Sure.
influenced the people around it. Now, the last time when I said the mountains look like Machu Picchu, Cortez, to the best of my knowledge, never visited Peru, but he was a second cousin to Pizarro, who, well, conquered.
interesting.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and there's another possibility here, because they are justifying the natives doing that map because of the Spanish. So what if they are already making records of who owns what, and they already have it in paper? They just needed to bring it and present it, right? 'Cause that's
They
also
already had writing, and they already kept records, and you know, the Catholics burned 5 million books.
so it's quite possible they are already making records, and this was not made because of the conquistadors. It already existed.
Right.
And some of the words that were interesting, like it looks like Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl's in or down here. They call it the fifth elite figure mentioned as a candidate in modern analysis. But Quetzalcoatl, that's the name of the plumed serpent, uh, the Aztec deity or feathered serpent. So that's really interesting there that they had um, recorded that on the map as well. And all these other
which which
contextual.
also makes me think it wasn't a Spanish inspired document. I
Exactly.
think it was a local inspired and finished document that just happened to document some Spanish.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And the lady Georgia said that it not all of the map was done at the same time, so they kept adding to it. So the Spanish might be added after their presence. So
Yeah, it could have been added to, and it looks like it has multiple layers of writing and different age of the lettering.
Looks like two different, maybe three different handwriting too.
Yeah. And one of the things that stuck out to me were these lines going to text boxes, almost like a path, like they're walking along this path, and then these could be the houses where they lived, and describing who lived in each one.
hmm.
It's like a divergent path or a branch going to the houses. Just my thought.
Or maybe it's a comic book.
And you were mentioning about how the soldiers looked like they had weapons. Well,
Yes.
well, yeah, and this kind of brings it out pretty well. They look like they have a sword or a helmet on, conquistador style. This one's riding a horse. Try to zoom in on that.
Yeah, that is traditional weapon, the lance.
Yeah, they looks like they have a shield as well.
Yeah. What is that shape on the shield? Is it a 9, a G?
It's hard to tell.
Even an 8 or 81? I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
'81.
when you don't understand the language, you just make up things because you have no idea what you're looking at.
You too could be a professor.
But yeah, this is really interesting. A document reading where the Spanish arrived and the lodging of Cortez. And one thing that comes to mind is on some of those the tablet that I had from New Mexico, they said that Cortez was kept in the legend and stories. They would retell stories of Cortez's arrival for years, even up to the 1700s and 1800s.
Which one was tried to use the image of Quetzalcoatl? Was it Cortez? Because I'm it's almost 4 a.m. for me. No, 5 a.m. So I'm not thinking correctly anymore. Which one of them was tried to be publicized as the Quetzalcoatl? Because it was the return of Quetzalcoatl. So it's coming from the sun
Oh,
over the
Yeah, the
waters.
plume serpent. I
Yeah.
remember that story too.
yeah,
They said that Cortez would ask the city to go and find the place where where the eagle landed on the serpent on a cactus, and that would become their city capital. And that was how they found Mexico City.
Because it's interesting because I have heard that from that account, and now that we are reading the Soto Chronicles, it is also being publicized to the tribes as the Son of God coming from the sun, flying over the water, and his right to ownership of the land, and have everybody paying vassalage to them. So he's like the son of God. That's how they are advertising the Soto to these tribes as this benevolent. Oh look, Jeff came to say hello to us. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good seeing you.
Hi, good evening.
Got a lot going on. Continue.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good to see you guys. Rick, it's good seeing you again. I don't know if you remember me. We met 2 years ago at the AAPS conference.
I do remember that, sir.
Yeah, it's good to
And I was
see you.
hoping to get back with you last year, but I didn't make it up there. So maybe this year.
Mhm. Yeah, no, looking forward to it for sure.
I believe Jeff is now a board member at the AAPS, right?
I am, yeah. Big upgrade from the guy, the youngest guy there sitting in the crowd. So
Eh,
Wow, congratulations. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good news.
thank you.
And for those that don't know, AAPS
Yeah, I'll
is
be up there. I'll certainly be up there this fall. And then headed to Baraga to work on the museum a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, they're making good progress on the museum. I saw a couple of months ago. I think it was Jay Wakefield to send us some pictures of it. And they had looked like they had all the framing and siding or sheeting up on the outside. So I imagine they're a lot further ahead now.
Well, it will be open, I
Well-
think, 2 weeks after the conference. That's it. I
Okay.
think that's the date to open it. But I'm not sure if they put the copper coating on the outside already or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a very, let's see, what would the right word be? Enthusiastic estimate.
When are they
Lot to
opening? You
do.
said?
Sorry, Vince.
Baraga, Michigan. It's
When-
right on the shore of Lake Superior on the east coast of the Keweenaw Peninsula.
No, when's that museum open? Is it already open?
Well, the historical museum's been open for a while, like decades, right, Jeff?
It's been there for a long time, and it was
Oh, I
just
thought
kind
they
of
were
a
making-
small log cabin or whatever they had there. But
Yeah,
they're
but it's getting a new addition, sizable addition, plus a whole bunch of new displays.
Oh, okay.
objects.
Oh, wow.
It should be open in October, so I think this year.
Oh, okay. Excellent. That's good news.
Right after the conference. Are you coming to the conference this year, Vince?
I want to. Yeah, I'm planning on that.
Do you have the dates, Jeff?
Yep, actually, I just be October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, first weekend in October.
So, can you tell us what is AAPS?
The Ancient Artifact Preservation Society. It's a conference held annually in Harris, Michigan, every year in October. And the main focus is what it started with is just the ancient copper mining in
Copper.
Michigan. Yeah. And the potential.
Frederick Home.
Yep.
Wow, who all was there? Myron Payne was an early contributor for years, decades. Well, a decade anyway. What is this? 22nd year coming up?
21st.
23rd.
21st year because they had a 20th anniversary last year. So
Yeah.
So, and how much is the ticket this year?
I keep forgetting to bring up your idea about the price. Because right now it is $200 for all 3 days. Let's see. Yeah, it's $200 for all 3 days, but you have to
So
get your
it's 225. It's better
yeah
to say that.
225. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you need to buy
because
the membership.
but that might change. With I also
Mhm.
talked to someone that is right on top of that board, and she agreed with me. I don't know if that was brought up already or not, but
Haven't seen anything. Yeah.
I marked very well that opinion that it's determined for people to think that they're going to spend $200, and then the next menu is you need to buy a membership in order to buy the ticket. So
Yeah.
just put it together. Just keep in mind it's 225, which is a bargain. Go and look the other prices of the other conferences. $225
Absolutely.
is a bargain compared to the material you listen to. You are exposed. The fact that it's very intimate, you can go around and talk to any of the speakers. There is no difference between who's speaking and who's seated, and the people all get dinner together in the room next door and change tables and so on and so forth. So it's not elitist at all. It's a very intimate place. So I seriously,
And it's a great facility.
yeah, it is.
Island Resort Casino in Harris is where it's located.
Well, I thought it was an island when I looked because it says Island Resort. So I thought it was
You're
an
expecting
island
palm trees
Yeah,
everywhere.
on
need,
the lake.
no, you just need a boat to get there. But the swimming pool, indoor, of course, because it's upper Michigan. It's a great swimming pool. They used to have a saltwater hot tub, but I didn't see it the last time I was up there.
I don't know.
They changed the entire swimming pool around. But
Trying to find a picture of
for
the
anyone who might be interested, they have a great golf course and a whole bunch of other amenities and of course a casino.
Yeah.
And they have great shows every Friday night, but I have not attended one yet because I'm always there for some other reason.
Yeah. And there is too many people to talk and too
Anyway.
little time.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Vince, I don't know if you have anything to finish your.
That's about it. I mean, I really appreciate being on tonight and talking with y'all. And but yeah, it's almost midnight here, so hopefully this week goes well and everything. And I appreciate everything.
Sure. And
Yeah, I'll probably be unable to participate next weekend because I'll be up here.
Well, we'll have to force Vince to get us something. We might convince him to bring us.
He might have something he can pull out of his sleeve.
Jeff had him in his show, and it was very hard to get anything from Vince. He barely has something or anything to say.
I had a great time having Vince on for sure. He showed me more stuff, like a lot of the different artifacts found in the mountains that I was not aware of because you can't find them publicly anywhere. You know, and the fact that he has all that information and can get all the archives and stuff like that, wherever he's getting it from, is awesome. Like, I actually doing a little bit of more research into the pan flutes, the copper pan flutes that you said were found.
Oh yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely want to look into that a little more because the only other place that's really popular is South America and the Andes that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a lot of copper. The copper artifacts are incredible from with all the pan pipes from the Midwest all the way across the Midwest and into North Carolina, and there's an article about it that I read, and it talks about the distribution. They're pretty common actually, but you wouldn't. I mean, normally you don't hear people talking about that because it's just incredible how they keep it under wraps. That they don't say much about it. But here I can share.
Well, I'm going to double back to Cahokia for just a minute as we're closing out here. I got into a discussion today and yesterday about the palisade at Cahokia around Monks Mound. And it was, almost a mile in circumference, something like that. But one thing I've never found good data on was how tall was that fence? And if it wasn't 8 feet tall, then it wasn't for defense in the first place. If it had ever been attacked, then that whole post mole line would have had an equated row of broken projectile points right at the base of it. So my contention is that it would. Go ahead.
I've heard that the height could be measured from how deep the logs were in the ground, and they extended, from what I understand, at least 4 feet in the ground. And so usually there's like a 5-to-1 ratio, which would mean it could be about 20 feet tall.
Yeah, but what if it was a 1-to-1 ratio? It would still keep the bison out of their place.
Yeah, it'd still keep the bison out. So, but I mean,
and there's no berm. There's no mud. There was no mud on that palisade.
That's true. It's like they were buried flush with the ground level. And
that's exactly right.
I've had a theory that these were log rafts that they basically set on end and buried in the ground. Like the rafts that people would come onto the site with, they would take it and then use those logs to build this palisade. But I don't know how. That's just a possibility.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that they never go far enough in digesting what information they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say now because all the part that's above ground is all gone. So, but I know they had an experiment where they rebuilt some of the palisade over the years, and that's what.
Yeah, but they were just guessing at the height because of, like you said, it was 3 or 4 feet in the ground, so they figured it had to be about 15 feet tall. Right. Like, no, it doesn't.
And I think you're right. It could be for keeping bison out or animals.
If there were 40 million bison went past there every spring and they wanted to keep them out of the gardens, they'd have had a fence. But I can show you a stone fence in southern Indiana for that exact purpose.
And I mean, I can tell you though, there were a lot of Cahokia points on site, and I've heard stories that these were they would accumulate around the palisade walls. So I mean, they may have had warring or defensive purposes, but that's just a thought.
Well, maybe they just wanted to pick off a buffalo or two. But those buffalo, the woods buffalo were only tiny little things. It didn't take much of a fence to keep them out. But if you had, 40 million of them bumping against that fence, you'd want it buried pretty deep.
Well, the animals would avoid, unless they couldn't see it because they're running in high numbers, but they would avoid the wood. My question is, could they shoot at them from the palisade and then just go there and get their meat after they just run all of them?
Well, possibly, and I think that's probably a good idea. But their gardens would have, by the time the buffalo arrived in the in the early spring, late winter, they would have already planted their three sisters crops, and they would be sprouted, and the buffalo would eradicate that. And anything else that they had planted, because that wasn't the only thing that they grew. That's a nice panpipe.
Yeah, the palisade or a panpipe?
This is a panpipe. The actual original one here is shown on the right, and then the reproduction of it was on the left.
So what is the material keeping them together? Is it lead?
Copper. No, it's copper.
It's copper. Okay.
Yeah, these are actually made with copper.
All of it, even the tubes?
No, the tubes were not. The tubes they believe were like reed or a hollowed out wood or
Cane
reed.
or wood?
Yeah, cane
Could
possibly.
could they have used bone possibly?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Anything that was hollow.
Bird bone was common.
I suppose get some turkeys or something.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Actually, most of it was sandhill cranes or whooping
Okay.
cranes.
I suppose those are quite large as well, so that would work either way.
Right, but they also used them for regular flutes. You know, they did
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit for this. And I guess they were tasty. I'll never know.
Well, they call them a ribeye in the sky, so
They did.
I wouldn't know personally, but
What is the thing that you showed previously? This one?
Um, that's an object from Florida. This is silver and copper, and it was I think the Fort Glade culture that this was found back in the early 1900s by a metal detector. The guy would go around metal detecting sites and just find all the metal and silver artifacts. And these are now on display at the South Florida Museum. But it's amazing. It has copper in the eye and the silver hand.
And it looks very alien to me, like in the sense that if the alien believing community saw this kind of thing, you could say it's not from Earth.
Fort Center, here it is. Fort Center site, Glades, Florida. It's 3 1/8 inch diameter.
Looks amazing.
oh, so it's quite okay. It's not that big. Yeah, and the Hamsa eye. That's a symbol you see all around the world in all ancient cultures. Which, I mean, come on,
And it doesn't always have 5 digits.
No,
true.
Right, I've heard it means the eye is for perception and the hand is for action. So it's a combination of action and perception.
it's also a Buddhist symbol.
Mhm.
The hand with the eye. I've seen some examples of that. This is
And Egypt a couple times.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say Egypt. Where else? Yeah, India
So-
is a Buddhist, Hindu.
again another possible symbol of a global, either a global culture or even a global civilization.
Or a
Previous to
global company. It could be a logo.
yeah, of course.
In Cahokia, they had hand and eye symbols on a lot of different things. They find them on pottery shards. They found it on like maces that were engraved with the symbol. Spatulates, like spatulate celts. One of the guys I know had one in his collection, and he had the hand and eye symbol on it. So yeah, it's a really interesting symbol.
Well, if that's what do you say, 3 inches in diameter. So I mean, that's even just to get the little copper sphere in the center, that smooth it around and get it embedded in there. That would take some awesome craftsmanship itself.
Yeah. Take a look at this one. This is Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. It's like a locust effigy, but it's sandcast, and it had apparently these holes made in it, like where it could have had wings, like a locust wings, and it's dissimilar metals too. It's made of silver, and it has these like inset parts at the top where it would have been embedded almost with a glassy substance.
And it's like a pendant because I see the
Yeah.
round thing to put something in it, a cord.
Yeah, like a pendant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cicada, not
Cicada,
true American
exactly.
locust. It's a
Cicada.
cicada.
Oh, right. It's a cicada. That's right.
American locusts were numbered in the trillions every year. And the swarm could move at 20 miles per hour, and it would go all the way across the Great Plains in a season
And
and
eats
eat
everything
everything.
it finds in a way.
And then we stopped burning off the grass, and this locust went away, along with the buffalo.
These are called the Malden plates, or Malden, from Washington University. And they're actually copper plates that were found together. The story is they found them in a sand layer. The farmer was tilling his field and he plowed these up. So Malden is the location. I think Malden, Missouri.
Vince, let's leave this to next Saturday.
Okay.
Let's close up here because I might fall asleep at any second now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Appreciate it, guys.
So thank you, everybody.
Well, you all
Stay-
have a wonderful time until I get back. I just carry on as if I were still here.
Yeah.
we'll
Good
do
luck. Hope you're having a good trip and be safe.
It won't be the same, but
All right.
we'll do our best. So,
Good night, Ricardo. Good night,
Good night.
Jeff. Good
Jeff,
seeing
thank
you
you, Rick.
again.
thank you for
You as
stopping
well.
by. So,
Vince, work hard. I know you do anyway. But
All right. Good night.
all right. Good night. A very fun
Good night,
farewell
all.
to everybody.
Thanks for having me pop in.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming by, Jeff.
Absolutely.